Welcome back. Today we're going to be rating all 59 current DLCs for The Sims 4, which should hopefully help you choose which one you want to get next, and also which ones you really want to avoid, because there's some shockers. So I surveyed you guys, and 15,700 of you responded. And we're going to go through all of your ratings to determine which are the best and which are the worst packs. But before we get started, make sure to leave a comment down below which you think is going to be the best pack and which is going to be the worst. I'll be surprised if some of you get it. So we're starting off with the kits. Now there's 17 of them, so we're going to go through them pretty quick. Now at any point in this video, if you need a better look at the information I'm putting on screen, because there's going to be a lot of information, a lot of numbers, and graphs and all that kind of stuff, I would suggest just pausing. And if you're on mobile, you can actually zoom in now on YouTube. So if you need to have a closer look at something, that's probably a good way to do it. But without further ado, let's go. So we're going to be doing the kits in a tier list style because there's so many of them. We're just going to fly through them. Now, I asked you guys to rate these from 0 to 5, and then I averaged all of the ratings that you gave me. So C tier, you can see Bust the Dust is the worst kit and the only gameplay kit, because when it came out, it just didn't work at all. The one thing it added didn't work. It works now, but it's still kind of not great. It's just not that great. Moving into B tier, the orangey red colored kits, those are build mode kits, and the yellow ones are creator sim. And you can see all the build mode kits so far are at least in B tier. So pretty much if you want any sort of build mode kit, they're gonna be kind of good. It's just whether or not you want to spend the $5 to get it. That's another question. The price kind of makes these a little bit more tough to swallow, especially with 17 of them. You're looking at like $85 already just to get all of them. So moving up into A tier, we're gonna start off with Pastel Pop and Little Campers. Little Campers is green, I guess because it adds more than just build mode stuff. I think it's the only green colored one. I didn't color code these, by the way. That's what EA did. Number 3, we've got the Desert Luxe kit, which was free for a long time for a lot of players. So that's probably why it also has a high rating. However, it's also a fantastic kit, and I would actually recommend that one if you're interested in kits. Number 2, Blooming Rooms adds a bunch of plants. Also really good, really nice plants. I can recommend that if you're wanting to spend money on a kit. And currently at number 1 is the Everyday Clutter kit, which just came out literally the day or two before I posted my survey. So do keep that in mind. There may be some recency bias with that. And also Pastel Pop came out the same day. So those are relatively new. However, they are pretty nice kits. Now, before we run off from kits, here they are all in a list, just so you can get a better look. You can pause the video here. These percentages are how many people that I surveyed said that they actually owned it. Ideally, the ratings are only from people that actually own it. Obviously, you could answer it if you wanted, even if you didn't. However, I think it gives us a good idea. For example, 75% own Desert Luxe, which makes a lot of sense because that was a free kit for a month. And for example, 28.4% own Everyday Clutter. And that's probably just because it only just came out. So yeah, just pause the video if you want to have a look at this chart a little bit longer. But we got to move on. It's time for all the stuff packs. There's 18 of these, so like the kits, we're gonna go through them pretty quick. I'll have a few things to say about them, but for the most part, we're gonna go through them pretty quick so we can get to the meat and potatoes of game packs and expansions. Last, but definitely least, is My First Pet Stuff, 3.1. These are rated out of 10, by the way, 0 to 10. So a 3.1 is pretty shocking. Probably because My First Pet Stuff, if you want to get every item out of it, you actually have to own the Sims 4 Cats and Dogs expansion pack as well. I don't even have this installed in my game because I don't like that idea, and I'm glad they have not done it again. Then we got Luxury Party Stuff Pack. That is the very first stuff pack. It just didn't have very good items in it. Then following up, we have Spooky Stuff, similar story as Luxury Party Pack. It's an early stuff pack. Pretty much all these lower ranked ones. Here's Perfect Patio. These are all just really early stuff packs, like Romantic Garden stuff here as well. They're just early. They didn't have that many things going on in them. These are all $10 stuff packs. And when you compare them, especially to the newer ones, they just don't offer nearly as much. So we got fitness stuff here. It added the rock climbing wall and a few bits of exercise equipment that we already had, but nothing particularly new. Bowling night added bowling, which is, I mean, again, it's kind of cool, but it's, I mean, you do it like once. So it just doesn't add enough, I don't think, to justify the price. And I think that's the case with all the ones we've already seen. Backyard stuff, a little bit of fun with the slip and slide. Moschino stuff, I actually think this one's kind of cool. It adds a bunch of new photography stuff. I think some of the build mode and buy mode stuff is really nice. The outfits I have fun with too, because when you put them on like a snobby sim or something, it's kind of fun. Continuing to move up the list, Vintage Glamour added butlers and all that. We got a 5.8. I mean, you know, we're getting to the middle of the road now. It's okay, not great. Movie hangout stuff, very nice furniture and that, lots of colorful stuff, colorful patterns. Then we've got the kids room stuff. A lot of these items I use all the time. I think this is a great pack. I would recommend, probably with most of these, try to get them on sale if you can. Because again, that $10 price point when it's full price maybe is a little bit much sometimes. Then we've got the toddler stuff pack here. It does add quite a few things for toddlers to do and new outfits and all that, which I guess is kind of nice. Number 4, we're getting into the really, really good stuff now. There's a huge jump in quality, I think, at this point. Nifty Knitting adds a whole new knitting skill. It adds rocking chairs. You can actually knit clothes for your babies and toddlers, and you can knit sweaters. And there's a lot of really fantastic items in it. This one was also created in collaboration with the Sims community. We all voted in polls that were officially sent out by EA to help design this pack, which is pretty cool. So this one's really good. Then likewise, Laundry Day. This was also a community-based stuff pack where we all voted in it. And this is what we ended up with. I think it's a great pack. It's a little bit buggy sometimes, and I think it might actually be bugged at the moment, but I love the challenge of laundry and doing that. Number 2, paranormal stuff. This is fantastic. I think this is really good. I would highly recommend this if you're interested in, paranormal stuff. If you're not, then obviously not. But it adds a new career, an active career where you go around and you are a paranormal investigator, getting rid of ghosts out of people's houses and all that. It's a lot of fun. And then number 1, Tiny Living. I think this is also fantastic and I would highly recommend this pack. I mean, it's got an 8.8. That's amazing. It adds a new lot type. Actually, so did paranormal stuff. That also adds a new lot type. But this one adds a tiny home residential and it rewards you for having a tiny home. It gives you buffs and it has a lot of fantastic items. This is great. And of course, here's the big table with all of the stuff packs listed, their ratings, and the percentage of how many people own it from those surveyed. Once again, pause the video if you want to have a closer look. Now we're moving on to the worlds. We're going to rate the best to worst worlds in The Sims 4. I asked you guys to rate all of the worlds besides the base game worlds because those are free and everyone has access to those. But we're gonna go through the entire list. So starting at the bottom, the worst world, Magnolia Promenade. It only has 4 lots, makes sense. Then Batuu, yeah, it's not last. I'm surprised Batuu is second last. Actually, that's pretty surprising. These are also rated out of 10, 0 to 10. So 2.9 is pretty shocking. That is pretty bad. Moving up to the next set, we've got a few notable ones here. I mean, Selva Dorada sitting there at 7.3. It is a very nice world. I also really like Strangerville, but I can totally see the aesthetic of it. Might not be for everyone, the desert, and also, the infected Sims walking around the world. That probably puts a lot of people off, but I think it's pretty cool. Moving up to the next level here, we got a few of the most recent worlds, and I think it's similar to the stuff packs. As time's gone on, the worlds have gotten better and better. So we've got Copperdale, Moonwood Mill, Tartosa, and Mount Komorebi, all fantastic worlds. And you can see these little icons that I put next to the title. Those are the packs they come with. If you're not sure, don't worry, because we're going to go through all the packs and the worlds are also rated in those. This will just give you a good overview of the worlds. But let's count down the top 5 worlds, starting with Brindleton Bay. Number 5, 8.3, 92.9% of the people I surveyed own this world. So this comes with cats and dogs. It's fantastic. I use this world all the time. It's just a really beautiful world, nice and green and lush. Makes sense, really makes sense. Number 4, we got San Myshuno, the big city, the apartments, all that kind of stuff, rated 8.5, 92.7% of users own this one. Then we got number 3 is Sulani, also a beautiful world. I think that's the best thing about island living is this world, in my opinion anyway. That's my favorite thing about it. 8.5, nearly 81% of people own it as well. And then we've got Windenburg coming in at number 2, 8.6 rated. This is also a fantastic world that I use a lot. It is huge as well. There's so many lots in it and so much variety in the environments you're in. You've got the island, you've got the countryside, you've got the sort of downtown city area. Oh, it's beautiful. And finally, number 1, we have Henford on Bagley, which is actually, to be honest, kind of surprised me that this came in at number 1. So this came with cottage living, rated 8.9. 80.9% of people own this. There you go, that's your number 1 world. And your lowest rated world with Magnolia Promenade, which also makes sense. Okay, we're gonna get into the meat and potatoes now. We're gonna be doing the game packs. If you haven't already, make a comment down below. Try and guess what you think the worst game pack is, the best game pack is, the worst expansion pack, the best expansion pack. Good luck. Though I'm gonna be honest, you probably could have guessed the worst expansion pack. If you're a viewer of mine, you know how much I love Batuu. It's my favorite. No, that's kind of a meme. I mean, I like Batu. I don't have any ill will towards it. And I do also acknowledge it is a very strange entry into the Sims 4 franchise. If this was a spin-off game and it was completely separate, it would make a lot more sense. The fact that it's in The Sims 4, people don't want it in their game. Also, keeping in mind with this survey, I asked you, my audience, to rate this, and my audience is obviously very specifically Sims fans, and I think Sims fans don't like Batu. That makes sense. So anyway, let's look at the scores. So we've got our ratings down the bottom here. This is how it's gonna work. Each of these categories are rated out of 10. So we've got the world category, the creator sim, build mode, and gameplay, all rated from 0 to 10. And I've just averaged all of your scores there. Those are the numbers we see. And then I averaged those 4 scores into an overall rating, which for Journey to Batu is 4.2 out of 10. I can't believe my favorite pack is so low. But yeah, that's how our scoring is gonna work, just so you understand it. And again, at the end of all the game packs, I'm gonna show you a big table that will list all of these scores so you can pause it, screenshot it, whatever, so you have that for reference. But I also wanted to show you these. These are really interesting. So these are the graphs of your votes. So I'll just explain how this works. Let's have a look at this orange graph right here. So you guys could rate anywhere from 0 to 10. And if you rated a 10, your number is added here. So 620 people rated 10. That's how these graphs work. You might be noticing something a little strange about these graphs. A lot of people voted 0 in all 4 categories. Now, I'm just gonna say this. I'm pretty sure the people that voted 0 do not own Journey to Batu. And I definitely think that tanked its score. That's all I'm saying. Hashtag justice for Batu. That's all. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. We've got Dine Out coming in next at number 11. Here's our scores down the bottom, rated 4.8 overall. This, I think, is a shame that it's so low. It has a lot of potential. As you guys may have seen with Carl's Guides Dine Out Reloaded mod, we've been playing that recently. It's fantastic, it completely fixes it, but the official pack, not so great. Gameplay rated at a 4.4 makes sense. It is super buggy if you play it yourself. Sometimes meals don't deliver, you never get it, they don't arrive. Build mode, yeah, 5.6. There's not a lot of great build items added in this pack either. And Creator Sim, the Creator Sim is specifically for running a restaurant, so there's a lot of chef and waiter outfits. So if you're not into running a restaurant, which you can't because the gameplay is so bad, the Creator Sim is no good either. So that makes a lot of sense. But let's move on to the next one. Number 10, we've got Outdoor Retreat. Here's our scores down the bottom, coming in for a 5.2. Pretty good, middle of the road. Very first game pack. Everything is pretty average. You can see in the scores, it's all pretty much mid. And actually, I'm going to show you the charts on this one. This is what regular voting looks like. Remember the Batu graphs, how there's heaps on 0? This is what all the other graphs look like, pretty much, you know, on average. You get a nice bell curve. I'm not blaming you guys, but I'm pretty sure some of you voted 0 just out of spite. Number 9, we have Spa Day, which also makes sense. Even with the refresh, it's still not a great pack. I just don't think the concept is that good for a game pack. It really should have just been something added into a side of a pack somewhere else. It's just a little strange. I mean, it's not that great. I mean, I do like some of the build mode stuff that comes in it. The floors and walls are really nice. There's some good items, but rated at a 6.0. It's not really that great after all. Number 8, we've got Realm of Magic, which I wish this was better. I love the idea of magic. It's rated at a 6.2. Everything's kind of again in the middle of the road, pretty average. I feel like the gameplay had a lot of potential, but it kind of just, it peters out pretty quickly. A lot of the spells are things you can already do in the game the other ways. I had a lot of fun with it, and I still do play it every now and then. But yeah, there you go, rated at a 6.2. And just for interest's sake, here are the graphs as well. I'm not going to show the graphs on every single one, but in the description down below, I will link the spreadsheet that has pretty much all the stats you could ever want. It's got all the data, all these graphs, all that kind of stuff. So if you're interested in really looking at it all closely, it's all going to be there. And number 7, we got Vampires, which also makes sense, kind of middle of the road. I think Vampires and Realm of Magic and those kind of supernatural packs are sort of, they're much more particular who wants to actually use them and own them. Now, surprisingly, with Vampires, you can see the gameplay is actually rated at 7.0. And I agree. I think the gameplay, if you're into playing a vampire or want to play a vampire, I think actually doing that, leveling up, using the skill tree is a lot of fun. And it is a little bit challenging until you learn a few tricks and you can sort of fudge your way through it. But I think it's a really fun pack. And I think it's quite nice if you're interested in vampires it's a pretty good iteration. Number 6, we have Strangerville. This was really different and very unlike The Sims in a way. It's basically, it's like a story mode game that you play within The Sims 4. You don't have to, of course, but that's a big part of it. And it's also a reason why I mentioned earlier with the world, because if you don't play the story, the world has infected Sims walking around it, which people don't really like if they don't want to play the story. But anyway, let's have a look at the scores down here. The world is actually rated pretty decently, 6.8. Creator Sims pretty good. The build mode, 6.8. I do really like the build mode in this. I think that's really nice. The gameplay, I feel like the gameplay could be a little higher, 6.1. I think the story mode is actually pretty fun, though it is one of those things that you play once and that's kind of it. And it does mean if you ever start a new game and you haven't completed the story, then Strangerville will have all the infected Sims, these guys, in it all of the time. So I think that's where it lets it down. But I think it's a pretty nice game pack, and if you can get it on sale, I would recommend it. All right, moving into the top 5, which to be honest, this really surprised me being in top 5. But there you go. My Wedding Stories, number 5. I think if you look at the scores down here, there's very clear where this pack excels and where it does not. The world, as you saw in the world ratings, is pretty dang good. 7.8, Creator Sim 7.5, but the real travesty is the gameplay, 3.6. It didn't work when it came out. It took them a long time to fix it. It still is not that great. It's kind of tedious. And even after you get married, you still have options to brag about, or to talk about your wedding and ask people to be involved. So it's still bugged, but there you go. And actually, it is interesting to look at the graphs on this one. Look how different these graphs are. So this one here is the world, and then the blue is the gameplay. You can see a lot of people voted the gameplay a lot lower. And then the Creator Sim and world are pretty dang good, which is, I don't know, I find that very interesting. It's very telling. For a game pack, the gameplay is not so good, so. Number 4, we've got Jungle Adventure, which is actually kind of surprising. You know, I kind of feel like when this came out, not that many people were that excited about it, but I think it may have grown on people a little bit over the time. The world has got a good rating, as you can see. The build mode stuff, actually the build mode in this is very nice. You can do a lot with it. And I think the world and gameplay is actually pretty fun, albeit probably only doing it a few times. But every so often I do go back and we do a little bit of an exploration of the temples, as you can see here in the background. It's kind of fun. It is a little bit of fun. The top 3, this is where it gets really spicy. We've got Parenthood at number 3, which honestly, I think this game pack is pretty much a must buy for Sims 4. I think it adds some really nice features, adds a bunch of new stuff you can actually do with the kids and teenagers in your families, which is really nice. Now, of course, there's no world in this game pack, so that's not included. But Creator Sim at 6.9, build mode 7.6, and gameplay 7.9 averages out for a score of 7.5. It's pretty dang good. And it just kind of adds to the overall gaming experience. So very nice. Moving on. Number 2, The Sims 4 Werewolves. Also kind of surprising that this is number 2. Now, one thing to keep in mind, the amount of people that own this pack is far less than something like Parenthood. And again, we'll see those numbers in just a minute. I think maybe about 50% of the people that took the survey own this pack. But what that tells us is out of the people that buy this pack because they want it, they're pretty happy with it. You know, 7.6 is a pretty good rating. Overall, that's very nice. And I like to think that the world rating is because you guys like my lots. So thank you very much. But yeah, this is a good game pack. I had a lot of fun with it. I know it's not everyone's kind of cup of tea, but I think we had a fun gameplay out of it, and becoming a werewolf and getting to the top of the packs. I think that's really fun, and doing the different skills and trying different skill trees and being a different type of werewolf. I think overall, it's a pretty fun experience, and I think it worked pretty dang well. So there you go, that's number 2, which means number 1 has to be Dream Home Decorator, which again, honestly kind of surprised me because at the time, again, I remember a lot of people being kind of disappointed by it because again, for a game pack, the gameplay is kind of just build mode. Like that, there's a new job that comes with it. Your job is to go around to people's homes and do renovations, which in itself, you know, is a gameplay aspect, but you're just jumping into build mode and building stuff. And it is also buggy. I think it's maybe better now, but it was very buggy. But there you go. I mean, overall, people love it. Creator Sim 7.7, build mode 9.2. That is a super high rating. On average, a 9.2 rating for build mode. The items that come in this pack are really, really fantastic. I mean, I personally love this pack. We did a huge Let's Play series on it as well that went on for a huge amount of time. And I still love playing with Dream Home Decorator too. So highly recommend this one. #1 game pack. Did you guess that this would be #1? Because honestly, I did not. I did not guess this would be #1 game pack. And here is the table if you want to look at all of the ratings for all the game packs side by side. Again, just pause the video here if you'd like to look at everything. But one thing to note, Journey to Batuu only has 31.5% of people owning it. Very sad. And like I said, Werewolves is actually only owned by 46% of people, but it's got a very high rating. And here are 3 tables that sort all the game packs by the best gameplay, the best build mode, and the best creator sim. So if you're looking for a game pack that fits a specific need, just pause the video on one of these and you'll be able to figure out which one's best for you. Okay, it's time to get into the expansion packs. And don't forget to leave a comment guessing which you think is gonna be the best and the worst expansion pack. This is where it gets good. Last place, get to work. Oh, it doesn't get good for get to work. It's a little rough. It's a little rough. 4.8 overall. Look, if the game worked, which I think at this point in time, a lot of it is actually bugged. At the time it came out, it worked. But I kind of think the Sims team just forgets about older packs. I mean, this pack came out like 7 years ago. I don't know if they remember that they made this, which is not good. I mean, I use this pack all the time. I'm always running retail stores, and that's a huge part of this pack. And I do really like the interactive careers, but again, yeah, they're kind of buggy, so we don't really play them. So a little bit of a letdown, but there you go. Last place, poor thing. Number 11 is Get Famous. Kind of a letdown that this pack didn't pop off because I think it had a lot of potential. I think one of the things that let it down a lot is the actual world. As you can see, the world rating of 5.0. We saw in the overall world rankings, it was quite low. The world is too small, but to be honest, the acting career where you can go to the lot and be an actor, I think that's awesome and it's so much fun. That was one of the most fun Let's Plays I ever did. But I also get it. I think anything that adds the interactive careers, like Get to Work, like Get Famous, they're fun, but you do it like once. You play through the career once and then that's kind of it. Then that expansion pack's kind of just sitting in the background. And because the world isn't really any good, you're not even really using the pack anymore. So it makes sense. It's a bit of a shame. Poor thing. Moving on, Get Together coming in at number 10, which is kind of low considering how well the world is rated at 8.6. But I guess the rest of the stuff just doesn't hold up. However, having said that, a lot of these expansion packs are rated very, very closely together around the 7s. Like a 7 out of 10 is pretty good. And a lot of people love Get Together. And the world, I think, honestly, for the world and build mode alone, this pack is probably, maybe not worth $40. Get it on sale. It's worth it on sale. Especially, again, because it's like 6 or 7 years old. So I don't think it's worth paying the full price anymore. Number 9, we have Island Living, which I think makes sense. I feel like it maybe was let down a little bit by the gameplay. Yeah, as you can see, the gameplay 5.9. Creator sim pretty good, build mode pretty good. The world fantastic. I do love this world. I think it's really, really nice. But yeah, there's just not a lot of gameplay really in it. You go in the world and then what? Like there's a few things to do. Walk along the beach and pick up trash. That's the gameplay. I don't know. It makes sense that it's not very highly rated in this list, but a bit of wasted potential. But there you go. Number 8, we have Eco Lifestyle coming in. So let's have a look at the ratings down here. We've got a 7.3 overall. Like I said, these are all very closely rated. I guess the thing holding it back here is the gameplay as well. Build mode, very good. Actually, yeah, the build mode in this was actually really good. I love that. And the creator sim and the world are pretty highly rated. Yeah, it was kind of, I think in this Let's Play, we kind of just bumbled around a little bit, you know, collected trash and dumpster dived and all that kind of stuff, fabricating objects. It's fun, but yeah, I think there's definitely expansion packs that are better than this one, given the fact that this is not the number 1 one. That makes sense. Coming in at number 7, we've got Discover University. I mean, I personally had a lot of fun with this pack. But again, I think it's one of those ones that you play once, maybe twice if you're lucky, and then that's kind of it. But anyway, let's have a look at the scores here. We've got a 7.3 overall, so it's still a pretty good rating. The world is kind of where it's being held back. A 6.6 could be better. I think Probably mostly due to the fact that, you know, more than half the world is dedicated to the university. If you just want to live there, it's not particularly easy. I mean, I think the world is nice. They also decided to put stairs everywhere in a pack that they added bicycles. So you can't really ride your bicycles around the new world because they ride it to the stairs, then walk the stairs. So yeah, that was an interesting choice. But anyway, that is Discover University. Coming in at number 6, we have Cats and Dogs. And let's have a look at those ratings down the bottom there. 7.5, again, pretty dang good rating. The world, like I said, this world is fantastic. Beautiful world. Creator Sim, it's apparently okay. Gameplay and build mode, pretty dang good. I mean, yeah, this one for the world, and obviously the cats and the dogs. I think this is a great pack. I think it's really good. And if you like having pets in your game, it makes sense. The fact that you could also build and run your own vet clinic as well, that was in the same pack. I mean, that was pretty cool to me. I love that. I haven't run a vet clinic since it came out, so I don't know if it still works. Moving on, number 5. So we're getting to the top 5 now. We got City Living, which I think makes sense as well. A lot of people love this pack. Also 7.5. This one is slightly higher though. And if you go to that spreadsheet I mentioned, you'll actually see all the exact numbers. Like I mean, I've obviously rounded all these numbers, but when you get into the weeds of it all, this slightly edges it out. Yeah, I think the world is really good. People love the world. Definitely adds a completely different vibe to The Sims 4 than any of the other places. And I think that's a huge part of this expansion pack. Not that the gameplay isn't good, but I think the world is really fantastic. And it added festivals, which at the time were cool, but now so many expansions and game packs have festivals. There's like 50 festivals every day in the game. Number 4, we have Snowy Escape, which is, to be honest, kind of high. Oh, okay, yeah, then that makes sense. So this is 7.6. I was gonna say it's kind of high because I remember when I was playing this pack, I was like, I don't really know what to do in it. The gameplay is rated 6.5, so much lower than the other categories. Because again, yeah, I was kind of like, there's not a lot of gameplay in this pack. Like there's a few things to do, like you got the snowboarding and skiing, but that's kind of like you click on a hill, they go down and that's it. It looks much cooler in the trailer. This is kind of as cool as it gets. The rock climbing thing is cool, or the mountain climbing. You can actually climb to the top of the mountain. That's very cool. Again, one of those things you kind of do once. So it's kind of like, it's cool gameplay, but this pack definitely needed something else in there. But overall, people like it. So who am I to complain? Number 3 is actually The Sims 4 High School Years, which is really surprising because again, people were very vocal about this when it came out because it was just bugged and didn't really work very well. Though having said that, I didn't have too many issues. Obviously, we've had bugs in my Let's Play, but it hasn't been that bad. But anyway, yeah, the world is pretty good. Creator Sim is very good and build mode is very good. And I totally agree with that. The build mode items that come in this pack, I think are really good. And actually the Creator Sim is great because I added all the thrift store stuff. A lot of really good items. The gameplay lowered down at 6.7, which actually I'm kind of interested to check out the charts in this one. Yeah, so you can see the blue gameplay chart definitely averaging further down the scale. But the green Creator Sim and the orange build mode looking pretty dang good. That's number 3. Now, also keeping in mind, this is the most recent expansion pack to come out, so recency bias may be in play here. People might like it more just because it's newer. Though it has been out for a while, so that might have balanced out by now. Okay, moving into the top 2. And if you've been keeping track of every pack we've been through, as soon as I reveal number 2, you'll know what number 1 is. Number 2, we've got The Sims 4 Seasons, which I think last time we did a ranking was number 1. It has been dethroned, which is kind of sad, but also kind of good that there's a pack that's better. Because, I mean, it's always nice to improve. But yeah, this is a fantastic pack. I mean, I 100% recommend this pack. If you've just got The Sims 4, and you don't have seasons, it's great. You know, adds all the weather kind of stuff, adds snow, rain, seasons, all the holidays as well. You can create custom holidays in games. So you can create Christmas in the game. It's called Winterfest, but you could change it and customize it however you want. I've had so much fun with the holiday system as well, creating my own holidays that sort of always live on throughout my Let's Plays. And Seasons is such a great pack because it affects all of the game and not just a single pocket. Like for example, let's take Get Famous, where that's a fun pack when you're playing the actor career. When you're not playing the actor career, it kind of doesn't exist in the game. It's just there. Whereas Seasons, it's always there, whether you're playing it or not. You're getting weather, you're getting seasons. It's great. It's really fun. There's a lot to do in it as well. 100% recommend. 8.2. Amazing. And if you've been keeping track, that means you know what number 1 is. It is, of course, Cottage Living, which, yeah, I agree. This is a totally great pack. I think it's fantastic. We did such a massive gameplay on this pack. I think maybe, 40 to 50 episode parts, which is huge. Usually you run out of things to do way earlier on in a Let's Play. And just looking at the ratings here across the board, everything is fantastic. The world is amazing. This was our number 1 world as well. Creator Sim 8.5, build mode 8.7, gameplay 8.5, overall 8.6. It's really awesome. It adds all these animals like the bunnies, the cows, the llamas, the new overgrown or oversized crops, so you can sort of do farming kind of stuff. It is a lot of fun. It's so much fun, and I totally understand why it is in the new number 1 place. Seasons has been dethroned, which is surprising. Did you guess this? Did you guess that this would be number 1? And seeing as we're on number 1, let's have a look at our little graph here. I mean, look at those graphs. It's so highly skewed towards 10. There's like 7 people, literally 7 people that rated a few things 0. So I don't know what they had. I don't know what problems they had with it, but they just didn't like it. And here is the overall expansion pack ranking table. You can see all the ratings side by side just here, and the percentage of people that own each pack. As you can see, a lot of people own the expansion packs compared to the game packs and stuff packs and kits. Again, pause the video if you want to have a closer look at this. And just here are 3 tables that sort the expansion packs by best gameplay, best build mode, and best creator sim. So if you're looking for a specific pack to fulfill a specific need, you can pause on any of these and check out the one you like. And we've got one big final table here. This is all of the DLC sorted by the percentage of people that took the survey who said they own the pack. So this basically shows us in the number 1 spot, 95.3% of the people own Seasons, and in the very last place, 21.7% of people own Modern Menswear. Very sad. And that brings us to the end. That's everything. There are more details. You can view all the graphs, like I said, at the spreadsheet link down below. And if you want to have a closer look at any of those tables, make sure to just pause the video on those, and you'll be able to get a closer look at all the rankings and how everything compares. But thank you so much for watching the video, and thank you so much for participating in the survey. It was really, really interesting to see. Now with 59 DLCs for The Sims 4, this is getting huge. And honestly, if we do another one, I don't know how I'm gonna do this. This literally took me like 5 days of organizing all the data and creating graphs and images and sorting it all out into meaningful information. Adding any more into this is gonna be rough. But until then, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and have an awesome day.